you're going to do college readiness with this school, but you're also administering the college application process with them and tracking their applications per requirement and going to do that?
Yeah, it's mostly college application piece of it, and like and helping them with through the recruiting process.
So when I first start, they're seeing my screen, I'm sharing my screen, I'm doing the driving, but then we get to a point where orientation is over and now each meeting they're going to share their screen. And so all of my assignments I have made routine. So my college readiness is a standardized set of assignments that everybody gets the same set of assignments. So you'll have a tech mentor that's going to work with you to understand assignments and understand the entire app. So I won't spend time looking at that. But because you're going to be working with athletes, I want to talk to you about the college list builder. If you're working with an athlete, you're going to want to do one extra thing, which CounselMore lets you do, which is in the student list, the period of time where you're having the conversation with the student about each of their schools on their list, you're going to have the ability to create actions within the student's list to help them develop all of those little tasks that they have to do with the coaches at their intended schools. Okay, so let me tell you what we're looking at. So on the far left-hand side of your screen, you have a quick list of your students. When I click on a student over here, the screen changes and the center of the screen, their name is at the very top right here. So if I'm sharing my screen with my student, I'll kick the quick list out of the way. When I click the pencil to the left of their name, the screen slides down. I'm in the biographical banners. These mimic the Common App. So what I have found is that as we are trying to, get coaches' attention in that interim period, I will have them complete this and I will work with them to build this biography because it mimics the Common App. We're going to need it in just a few months anyway. But I will have them build it and then I will export this directly to their shared Google Drive, because then I can share that resume. We'll use this to produce the resume and I'll wordsmith with them directly in these banners. So if I click participation banner, I'll see what they've put for the description and then I can help them rewrite it right here. And then every so often, as I'm working with the parents, I will export a copy so that the parents can literally see their student growing on paper. And they like that.
So can the parents can't see this?
They can if I let them. It's if I invite them to the parent portal, they can see everything. If I invite the student to the student portal, they can see everything. I can also invite parents per family to search the database. So parents can have access to the proprietary database if I choose. That means that I have some parents that can be a little overzealous about helping me research schools. But for what we're doing, I have put the first 3 tabs as all college list tabs. So first we have the counselors list, then the students list, then the application tracker. So I'm on the counselors list. No one can see the counselors list but me. So there's only one action button in CounselMore. That's this round button with the orange halo. So I click there and I can go to search. When I go to search, I then can get to gap year, summer programs in my database. If I go to my database, these are saved lists by topic. So
that you've saved. So I would have 0 in there, right?
No, you would have 30 lists to start with. CounselMore gives you 30 seed lists, so starter lists. So you can either look at the results of the list that they're giving you, or you could import them. You could say, yes, I'd like to make this list my own. And when you make the list your own, it then comes over here. And then once it's your list, you can edit that list. So take schools away, add schools on. So that's what I did. And now, after that, every time I build a list now, I go to the tags column and I'll tag that list for whatever the kid's theme was. So now I have over 100 lists. So when I meet with a family for the very first time, what are you interested in is on my Calendly that they sign up with me. And then boom, they have a list. So let's go back to the data part. So then there's accredited degrees. So I could search by major if I like, or I could completely search, skip majors. You then have your filters over here, which are fantastic. They go all the way down to club sports. So if you do have to place athletes that are not college athletes, then you still have that opportunity, right? We don't want to send someone who's conditioned their body to work out every day someplace where they can at least play club. So I'm just going to change the admissions rate so I can get some results to show for us. I want to show you what those look like. So here we have Amherst College, and it's already checked green because I know that it's already on Danny Demo's list. I'm doing the search for Danny. So now I can say, okay, those look good. But if I wanted to hit the back button and change the major and then do it again, I can do it again. Different schools are on my list. I can choose a different major, different requirements, and then they just keep coming up green, right? And then I can hit done in the lower right-hand corner, and I return those schools to the counselor's list. Once I'm on the counselor's list, I have these information columns. I have over 300 information columns that I can choose from. And I can pull different ones forward for the counselor, for the student, for the app tracker. They can all be different. I have the ability to set default data columns so that each time I do a list, there's particular columns that are just always going to show up. But then, of course, you can tailor it after that. So now I have test policy, I have essays, I have interview policy, and now I want to know when these were last updated, because that's the first thing I'm going to have to do. And in CounselMore, we see that these were updated. You see the exact resource of the update, and not this school was updated, but you see when that specific cell of information was updated, which means I used to take 5 hours to build a college list. I take less than an hour now.
I think that you would, if I could interject, I think yesterday we were talking about that in terms of how long it takes you to build college lists. And
Yeah.
I mentioned that the average is between 3 to 5 hours, and you thought that like kind of what you do might fall within that. But then you talked about how it can be difficult to manage the different revisions of that as the parents come back to you and change things, add things, kind of
Oh,
thing.
that's easy. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Daniel, because that is one of the best parts. So I can now click here and I can export to Excel. I'm going to export directly to the student's Google Drive folder. So then I'm going to go to the Files tab. The Files tab is their Google Drive folder. I click there, and you see all these college lists that I've created for him. So then I can make lists that are dedicated to specific questions that they have.
So does this, are some of the categories, do they include like financial aid, merit aid, possibilities? And
All right, so I'm going to go here and go to college data menu. This is all your data, and you can create your own custom data. So if you needed,
is that information you have to put in yourself?
yeah, so in my custom columns, the different high schools that I work with, I have a column for that high school, for that school. So I'll put the names of the students that I have who have gone there, so that way I can call upon them and say, hey, can you talk to this student? They're thinking about applying. So that's been wonderful networking, because their name and contact information is right there on the college list I produce, because I have the names of these other students and I am connecting their student with them. But additionally, some high schools are feeders, as you know. So if I recognize that a high school is a clear feeder to a particular program like Cornell football, then I will put this school deals with these high schools. So, and this high school for football, this high school for track, and that kind of thing.
Right.
So, okay, so there's that, but you have all of this data. So application guidelines, you have essays, homeschool policy, which will be really important. You've got deferral admissions, goes all the way down to sports and athletics. You can see what their last known scholarships. You can get the staff, the athletic staff. You can link directly to that. So producing lists for them that are dedicated to a particular thing, like I've created a list for you with only the staff connections for those schools that you're looking at. It's
And
powerful
is
stuff.
that something you guys update, or is that connected to the website? Because they turn over, as you can imagine.
So we'll go like this. And then because I have turned on a piece of data, so I clicked that head icon on the last screen. And now I'm going to go past counselors. Oh, counselors opinions column. That's fun because if you're wondering about something, usually your colleague has left you an opinion about it, but this will link directly to the athletics directory.
I see. Okay.
Then the links column, my links column has a lot in it. So when you get to your links column, just as you're building custom columns that of information that you want to save about feeders and things like that, you'll also want to save information that you can pass to the student, which if I click here, I can just add a label in the URL. Then all those will save here, but then I can turn them on and off per student, per list, right? Because you and I come across that secret information a bazillion times every day, but the problem is I can't remember it. There's no way. So I need a place to bank my esoteric learning so that I can easily retrieve it later on to show how valuable I am, because my experience is why that is my price tag. But if I can't retrieve it, I can look silly on days. I really can, because my brain doesn't work like it used to. So sometimes I'll sit there and go, no, it's the school with the, and I can't get to it. I just start pulling up keywords in CounselMore, this column right here, college notes. You can just copy and paste in all of your notes and then search them by keyword. Let me show you one more thing. Okay. You're going to promote the schools with the grad cap to the grad cap list. So just by clicking on the grad cap, the school promotes over here. Now it didn't disappear, it just dropped down here. Your student is going to take a 6-question assessment. I'm going to lay their answers down on top of the common data set, and I'm going to recognize their deficiencies. And then we will work on those deficiencies per your goals. We do that by having them fill out those 6 questions. We pull this column over to their college list, and then we click on View My Chances. We get where the school reported entry and then where the student is. Grad cap always indicates student. But then we get the weighting from the CDS. But what it tells me is that this student really wants to go to Babson, but they've never had a job. Okay, well, I'm going to need you to get a job. I can also use this report, but this report, do you see how over here in the background it says qualities weight, state resident weight back there?
Yeah.
So I can also produce this in this kind of report. So not only can I look at each school individually and export this lovely report for parents, but I can also produce a report and compare all of the schools by weighting, and then say, do you see why this school is not a good fit for you? And how much we're going to have to do just to get to a point of eligibility? Then I go down here and I have a scatter plot. But the other thing I want to show you real quick. So I'm going to promote schools. My student.
Oh, I'm sorry. The word promote means
Move it forward.
Move it forward. Okay, to somebody else's list, to
Yeah.
this client's list. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll promote the school from the counselor's list to the student's list, and then the student and I will work together to promote that school to the app tracker. But prior to getting to the app tracker with an athlete, I am going to put task columns in the student's college list, not just put task columns in the app tracker. So I'm going to go to the app tracker because now I want to show you what I'm talking about. So in the app tracker, I have status columns. So right now I'm on the app tracker. The application requirement is here in the essays and other prompts column. I can check to see when was that last updated. I can also click here to generate a document with the prompt on it in the student's Google Drive folder with one click. So I click here, a document appears that's just theirs in their folder. I used to go through the Common App and gather all of their prompts for them. I don't know why I did that, but I did. That took a lot of my time. I don't do that anymore. I just click this button and it appears for them.
So it
Next,
goes in there, it'll go at, the actual supplemental prompt will go into its own new document in their folder.
I'm going to go to the Files tab, and we're going to go to a folder that CounselMore creates called Essays. If I click the launch out, a new tab will open. It'll take me directly to the student's Google Drive. I know it's their Google Drive because I can see their breadcrumbs to the top. And then this is what it looks like. I highlighted that. But yeah, the whole thing just appears there. And then now, instead of collecting the prompts, I will read the prompts and I'll highlight what I think they should be writing out of their options. In the app tracker, having this status column right next to the particular task. So when I have the test policy, this is the requirement, but I have the status of that specific requirement right next to it. So I can then click the pencil and write in what my diagnosis is for that particular requirement for that school. Because how I want you to treat the test policy for one school is not how I want you to treat the test policy for the next school. So I spend my time just reading these and thinking about this particular kid and then putting in my diagnosis and hitting save. But if I add a call to action to one of these cells, so let's do this and let's say I'm telling him to do something, then what I can do is that I started this conversation by telling you that you're going to make the kids do what they need to do to be prepared by pushing assignments to them. So by the time you get to the we've chosen colleges now let's start on the applications, you've already trained them to look for an email of assignments. So if you now switch it up on them and say, I want you to just be working through the college list, they just stop. They can't shift gears. So therefore, in CounselMore, you can continue to generate assignments, but the counselor gets to continue to track the application process in a grid where it makes sense for us.